A reading from the Gospel according to Luke. At that very hour, some Pharisees came and said to Jesus, "Get away from here, for Herod wants to kill you." He said to them, "Go and tell that fox for me. Listen, I am casting out demons and performing cures today and tomorrow, and on the third day I finish my work. Yet today, tomorrow, and the next day I must be on my way, because it is impossible for a prophet to be killed outside of Jerusalem. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, the city that kills the prophets and stones those who are sent to it. How often have I desired to gather your children together as a hen gathers her brood under her wings, and you were not willing. See, your house is left to you, and I tell you, you will not see me until the time comes when you say, 'Blessed in the name of the Lord is the one who comes to you.'" Here ends the reading.
Amen.
Amen. Will you pray with me, please? Oh God, let your word quicken within us. Amen.
Amen.
Our lesson today is a cobbling together of two passages that come from two different sources known to Luke. I've preached about this before, but let's look at it again. Let's talk about the second part first. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, the city that kills the prophets and stones those who are sent to it. How often have I desired to gather your children together as a hen gathers her brood under her wings, and you were not willing. See, your house is left to you, and I tell you, you will not see me until the time comes when you say, 'Blessed in the name of the Lord is the one who is to come.'" This is a lament. Luke isn't the only evangelist who has this lament. Matthew has it too. And that's because Luke and Matthew both follow the social media account of someone named Q. That's a sermon for another time. Luke also has a little snippet of material that he picks up from the social media account of someone named L. Again, a sermon for another time. In the New Testament, this material appears only in Luke. Jesus is warned by the Pharisees about Herod. Listen again. At that very hour, some Pharisees come and say to Jesus, "Get away from here, for Herod wants to kill you." He said to them, "Go and tell that fox for me. Listen, I'm casting out demons and performing cures today and tomorrow, and on the third day I finish my work. Yet today, tomorrow, and the next day, I must be on my way, because it is impossible for a prophet to be killed outside of Jerusalem." So, Luke needs to figure out where to put this passage. He and he alone has this little snippet about Herod and the fox. And if I can get inside his head for a minute, my guess is that he knows that foxes are natural predators of chickens. So he pairs the passage about a fox, the one that he alone has, with the passage about a hen protecting her brood, the one that he and Matthew both have. So it's actually a brilliant pairing. Here's why. If you're a city person like me, you probably don't know much about chickens and they're predators. Turns out lots of animals prey upon chickens, and they all have their own hunting methods. Hawks and owls are patient. They watch and wait from a distant high perch, and then they swoop in quickly. Raccoons are dexterous, and in the dead of night, they will open the door latches of the chicken coops. Skunks and snakes are only after the eggs. Dogs and cats don't eat chickens. They kill them for sport, and then they leave the carcasses behind, probably for opossums who are very lazy and they only go after sick and injured birds. But foxes are sneaky and opportunistic. They analyze the situation and develop a plan before attacking. So there's a reason Jesus compares Herod, not with hawk or skunk or dog, he compares him with the one predator that hunts by premeditated strategy. Like the fox, Herod is cunning and ruthless, and like his father before him, he is hunting for Jesus. Now let's talk about hens. The thing to know about hens is that they don't gather their brood under their wings to be affectionate. We often misinterpret this passage thinking it portrays Jesus as a nurturing mother hen who loves her chicks. No, a hen only gathers her brood under wing when a predator is near. After all, chickens have a very poor defense mechanisms. Their puny beaks and claws cannot compete with sharp talons and strong jaws full of teeth. When chickens are threatened, the only thing they can do is run away or hide. So the hen's spreading her wings over her brood is the last-ditch desperate maneuver of a cornered hen who has no time to run away or hide. In the end, it won't even save her or her chicks. It just delays the inevitable. So the way Luke has joined these two passages is brilliant. Jesus is saying, foxy Herod and the Roman Empire for which he acts as parrot and puppet, Herod has a plan to destroy not only me, but you, Jerusalem, my brood. I would give you cover if you let me, but you won't. And even if you did, it's not going to save you. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, how often have I wanted to gather your children together as a hen gathers her brood under her wings. Jesus is grieving for a city he loves that has suffered under its Roman predator and is bound for destruction. Jerusalem is the center of the Jewish world, his world, and the center of that world is the temple. Jesus has strong ties to the temple. Luke tells us his family goes up to Jerusalem to present themselves at the temple 3 times a year. In the springtime at Passover, in the early summer at Shavuot, and in the fall at Sukkot. Jesus has been running around the courts and vestibules, the porches and gates of the temple since he was a toddler. The temple spaces are familiar and deeply sacred to him. You know what else is familiar and deeply sacred to him? The people who play important roles in Jewish life. Priests, elders, scribes, Pharisees, Sadducees. I know we love to portray them as opponents of Jesus, but God knows that they can be great hecklers. But remember, Jesus and these hecklers are colleagues. They go way back. They know one another. They probably grab beers after work. We know from Luke chapter 7 and 14 that Jesus gets invited to their homes for dinner and a couple of hours of video games. And let's not forget, they're fighting a life or death battle side by side against a common enemy, Rome. So let's go back to our lesson about foxes and hens. Do you remember how it begins? At that very hour, some Pharisees came and said to Jesus, "Get away from here, for Herod wants to kill you." The Pharisees are not heckling Jesus. They're protecting him. They're saying, "Jesus, look out." These are not the words of people trying to get him in trouble or get him killed. They're the words of people who have strong ties to the temple, just as Jesus does. They love Jerusalem, just as Jesus does. and they lament what Rome has done to it, just as Jesus does. And they probably love Jesus too. So yes, they are protecting him. Get away from here. Herod wants to kill you. And Jesus responds, go and tell that fox for me. Listen, I'm casting out demons and performing cures today and tomorrow, and on the third day I'll be done, which is pretty hilarious. Herod wants to kill me. Well, tell that old fox that I'm a little busy right now. I might be able to fit him in day after tomorrow. This is a master class on how to reverse the narrative and take the upper hand. It's also a master class on how to be an ally. The Pharisees, as much as we may think of them as opponents, adversaries, they are being allies to Jesus in this story. They are the hens gathering their brood under their wings. They're warning Jesus to take cover from Herod and his police state, even if they all know it is just delaying the inevitable. For Christians of conscience, the time has come for us to take a master class on how to be an ally. Since taking office, President Trump has issued hundreds of executive orders, memoranda, proclamations, many of which pertain directly to immigration, asylum, and refugee resettlement. These actions, along with additional ones yet to come, are poised to reshape United States policy on refugees dramatically. Those actions and plans include suspending refugee admissions in the United States, ending humanitarian parole programs for Afghans and Ukrainians, preventing the right to seek asylum at the southern border, punishing sanctuary cities, ending birthright citizenship, increasing the vetting of travelers, and instituting travel bans. The administration was not successful in late January when they tried to freeze federal funding of nonprofits that provide programs for immigrants, like English classes and job training and resettlement. Nonprofits that are near and dear to our hearts, like Dorcas International, Beautiful Day, Better Lives Rhode Island. But it doesn't mean they won't try again. Beneficent, it's time to focus up. Our guides in that work will include the amazing Justice and Witness Ministries Committee. They plan to direct our 2025 Easter offering to the Refugee Dream Center here in Providence that helps refugees find employment, education, and housing, helps them navigate the American healthcare system, helps them learn English, and guides them on their path to citizenship. We'll hear more about them in the lead up to Easter. So if you want to familiarize yourself with the issues facing refugees right now, I suggest you check in with Dorcas International here in Providence. They provide adult education, language learning, job training, legal services, refugee settlement, translation and interpreting, and lots more. They've been conducting some community conversations by Zoom. I attended one last month, and they've posted their recordings on their website. So it's a good way to learn how the actions being taken by this administration are affecting the work of local nonprofits. That website is diiri.org. Pastor Glenn alerted me this week to a gathering for faith leaders planned by our friends, Beautiful Day, which is a job training program for refugees that was the recipient of our progressive Lenten offering 3 years ago. On April 10th and again on May 8th, they're serving a luncheon of authentic Afghan foods prepared by some of their chefs in training, and they're giving an overview about refugee resettlement. It's for faith leaders, but that's a broadly defined term. Every one of us is a faith leader, right? So go to beautifuldayri.org for more information, or reach out to me or to Pastor Glenn. Raise your hand, Pastor Glenn. Thank you for bringing that to me. Whatever else we may have been planning for 2025, clearly the fox is now in the hen house. Who will spread their wings for these chicks at risk? These beloved ones who have come to our country for hope and safety and a new start. Those of us who are less at risk must be the ones to spread our wings. And we must pray that it's not just delaying the inevitable. I recently came upon a quote by Kelly Hayes, an American author, educator, and community organizer. Listen to this. The idea that we might refuse to abandon each other is actually quite scary to the powerful. The survival of the capitalist system, now we could easily substitute Rome or Project 2025 here. Their survival is dependent upon our willingness to allow others to be, our unwillingness to allow others to be ground under for the status quo, no matter how ugly that gets. Listen again. The idea that we might refuse to abandon each other is scary to the powerful. How simple, and yet how true. Hens refuse to abandon their chicks. The Pharisees refused to abandon Jesus. And now it's our turn to refuse to abandon the newcomers among us who are threatened. It's our turn to spread our wings. Amen.
Amen.